Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Earlier this month, we were asked by our professor to talk about how the pandemic has forever changed, really, our consumer behavior and our consumer habits, how we think, how we shop. What are kind of some of the habits that we've changed because of the pandemic? We were asked to look at two things, either the current protest that's going on in America or the pandemic. So I decided to really just look at how the pandemic has changed everything. Now there is some crossover during this time, but because they've both correlated right around the same time, and everything's really been affected. But let's go ahead and dive straight into our presentation today. All right. So March 13th, our president goes on national television and he tells us that we need to hunker down. In order to flatten the curve, in other words, we needed to stay at home. Some businesses will be open, others will be closed. Essential businesses and essential workers will be asked to go to work, wear masks, do what they ever have to do, while others are told to close down for about a couple of weeks. So after March 13th, the pandemic hit in the state of Alabama. Toilet paper and meat became a supply that was no longer on the shelves. It was in high demand. People bought it in bulk, just overnight. In a matter of weeks, there was nothing in major grocery stores where we could find toilet paper or meat or just general household items. Schools were closed, businesses were closed. And at the time, it looked like it was only going to be for 2 weeks, but it actually turned out to be for a lot longer. And in the same time, America and Alabamians are really forced to stay at home. We wanted to flatten the curve, and we wanted to see if we could stop this pandemic from spreading. Now, coming towards the end of June, we realized that we could not have done that. So we asked the question, how has consumer behavior changed with the pandemic and really the protest? Non-essential businesses were closed for 2 weeks, turned out to be a lot longer. Everyday items, like I said before, became high demand things. Other things that really is not mentioned in my presentation is even today, you can't find trampolines, you can't find pools. All of these things, because the supply chain has broken down and people are staying at home, they're really hard to find. You can't get them. Non-essential workers were furloughed to save costs for businesses. When the protests hit and happened, newly opened businesses that were opening after the pandemic, hoping to catch up with sales that they had lost, were forced to close again out of fear, because other businesses, like we saw in the video of a Target burning down in Minneapolis. Businesses overreacted, we could say. Some did not, but many of them did, in fear that their business would be burned. Americans felt unsafe to go back outside because of a protest that might have been going on, even though it was peaceful, like the one, for instance, specifically that I'm connected to, the one in Chilton County or Clayton, Alabama. Businesses closed that Saturday and people stayed at home, which affected that Saturday's sales day. So when I say the pandemic and protest has changed everything, it has. We asked the question, what businesses have changed? Well, stated by NBCNews.com, JCPenney, J.Crew, Pier 1, all of these companies have filed for bankruptcy. Before the pandemic, they were struggling and they had not seen the economic boom that they were hoping to have during the current presidency and things like that. Even though things were going up, sales were going up, they were not able to overcome. And when the pandemic hit, they filed for bankruptcy protection. An organization that's owned by Target named Shipt, their main job is it's really food delivery. They do all your grocery shopping for you, bring it to your house. They were able to pick up furloughed employees, people who were laid off from their jobs, because overnight, after March 13th, demand for their need went up, doubled overnight. You can find this with the Biz Journal of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Essential businesses like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, and other grocery stores, mom and pop operations, they were considered essential businesses. And they excelled during the pandemic. People stayed at home for their 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they decided they wanted to do some home improvement, or they needed grocery shopping, Or when toilet paper was back on the shelves, they went and purchased it. So these businesses thrived during this time. When businesses started to open back up, though, one of the psychological theories that was used in advertising was really foot in door advertising. They wanted to get people back in the door, so they posted on their walls, they posted on their Facebook pages, advertising on TV and radio saying, we are open, please come and support us, do whatever. They had sales. They did everything they could to get back on top and hopefully make up for what they lost. Other organizations and businesses really didn't have to do that. All they had to do was make sure the shelves were stocked. All the home improvement stores, like I said, and grocery stores, they didn't advertise much. They advertised sales because they were open. They just had to make sure their shelves were stocked. Some of the most successful advertising, and I mentioned Shipt earlier, during the pandemic, Shipt was able to put out there specifically really on web advertising that they were going to hire people who needed work. And what their job entailed was really just getting people to go grocery shop for other people and deliver to the homes. They kept America running while everyone was forced to stay at home. One of the questions asked was there a celebrity or anything that we could find that did not speak well about the current situation going on in America with the pandemic? And honestly, I couldn't find one. People really got behind the need and the importance of flattening the curve, celebrities included. You had multiple celebrities who got behind the hashtag stay at home movement. And they were encouraging by setting the example, saying, hey, we're home, you should be home as well. Let's not expose ourselves and expose other people and our family members by getting out of the house. So let's stay at home. I really couldn't find a celebrity that was against that. Now, as we start coming out, we're starting to see some people with some resilience and ready to get back to normal life, even though things have not gotten better. But at the beginning of this, celebrities all really banded together. They were really for one another, and they were for America, and they were for the people, all for the protection. We asked the question, what consumer changes have happened after the pandemic? I'll tell you this, more people are buying online. Amazon, without a doubt, is now a retail giant. One of the things I experienced personally during this time was that when a lot of stores say they could not get things out because there was such a high demand in shipping and shipping companies like FedEx and UPS, they were making essential items more important over non-essential, Amazon was able to get stuff to us. And get stuff to us in record time, really. There was only maybe a couple of day delay on it. So Amazon thrived during this time. More people were purchasing online. We asked the question, what does the future hold? Well, like I said, more people are going to be using Amazon and online ordering. Even ordering for groceries with Walmart pickup or Home Depot pickup or a Lowe's pickup, whatever it is. They can order online, go to the store, someone brings it out there to them just by using an app. Unfortunately, some retail giants, people like JCPenney, people like J.Crew, they're going to close their doors forever, closing multiple doors all across the nation. They were not able to survive this. That's another thing that's going to happen in the future. But I will tell you this, one thing that will not change is people will continue to go to the stores. One of the reasons we saw such an influx of people going to Home Depot and Lowe's and Walmart and just other grocery stores is because people get tired of being at home. We are a very mobile culture. And people are ready to move. People are tired of being stuck at home. That's why we saw an influx in DIY projects at home. People painting rooms, people adding decks and really doing additions. The construction industry has thrived during this time. The reason is people, if they're going to be stuck at home, they're going to get something done. So when I say we're a very mobile culture, we're a very active generation as well. Y'all remember that as we kind of just go through this pandemic. We're not out of it yet. We haven't even started school yet. One of the things that history shows, and I'm a big person that likes to look at history during things that are during times that's just going on, things like this is going on with protests that is going on now, and we look at the 60s, we look at the women's rights movement of the early 20th century, we look at the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 through 1920. We're going to be dealing with this for a couple of years. When I say consumer behavior is going to change forever, it will. We haven't seen the end of this yet. The question is this: with so much changing around us, how will we change? Thank you for your time, and have a great day.